You've just stumbled upon the video that might forever change how you view one of life's most profound choices. If you've ever wondered about the true nature of parenthood through a philosophical lens, prepare to have your mind opened in ways you never expected. Time is ticking. Your life is unfolding minute by minute, and with each passing moment, you're making choices that shape not just your future, but potentially someone else's entire existence. This is what Arthur Schopenhauer began to unravel 2 centuries ago, a perspective on parenthood that few dare to explore. Look at your hands for a moment. They hold the power of creation. But with great power comes the weight of an enormous responsibility. Isn't it fascinating how such a common choice can contain such philosophical depth? Take a deep breath and allow yourself to journey back in time. That smell of warm bread from your childhood. Your first genuine, uncontrollable laughter. The embrace that made the world stand still. The sensation of dew on grass between your bare toes on a summer morning. How sweet these memories are, aren't they? But Schopenhauer would argue that these pleasant experiences are merely brief respites in a life fundamentally characterized by suffering. Most people live without questioning the deeper patterns of life. They follow the expected path because that's what everyone does. But you're here because something inside you seeks more. Something in you wants to understand the full spectrum of existence, both its breathtaking heights and, as Schopenhauer emphasized, its inevitable depths of suffering. Meet Alex. At 13, he first felt the rush of hormones that signal the transition to adulthood. Sitting in the back row of class, looking at the girl in front of him, he experienced an inexplicable wave of desire. It was what Schopenhauer identified as the will to life, that primal force that drives all human behavior toward reproduction, perpetuating what the philosopher saw as an endless cycle of suffering. That same afternoon, browsing books in the library, Alex discovered a phrase that seemed written specifically for him. Life oscillates between pain and boredom. The words ignited something in his mind, a new awareness that would change his perspective forever. Schopenhauer's insight was revolutionary and disturbing. He proposed that our fundamental drive to reproduce is nature's cruel trick, compelling us to perpetuate suffering by bringing new consciousness into the world. Each new life, he argued, is guaranteed to experience desire, disappointment, loss, illness, and ultimately death. Alex faced challenges as he grew. His father lost his job when Alex was 17. The family experienced anxiety as bills piled up. The following year, a flood damaged their home. At 22, Alex fell deeply in love, then experienced heartbreak. A painful but ultimately transformative experience that taught him about the transient nature of happiness and the persistence of suffering. Alex's experiences aren't unique. They represent the universal journey that Schopenhauer identified as the essence of existence. To desire is to create the conditions for suffering. To achieve is to find momentary satisfaction before new desires arise. Life continues in this challenging cycle that Schopenhauer believed was fundamentally marked by pain. Now, imagine Alex at 28, sitting in a clinic waiting room, holding an ultrasound image in his trembling hands, the first glimpse of what could become his child. His partner's eyes shine when she talks about their future. She envisions birthdays, milestones, a lifetime of memories waiting to be created. Alex sees these possibilities too, but with his philosophical mind shaped by Schopenhauer's ideas, he also contemplates the full spectrum of human experience that awaits any new life. The skinned knees, the teenage heartbreaks, the inevitable challenges that come with growing up. The unavoidable suffering that Schopenhauer claimed was the essence of existence. Can you feel the weight of this moment? It's because you too have stood before life's profound questions. You too have contemplated what it means to shape the future, whether through parenthood or other meaningful contributions to the world. To bring someone into the world is to guarantee them suffering. This truth from Schopenhauer echoes in Alex's mind as he stares at the ultrasound. Every child born will experience desire, which creates suffering when unfulfilled. Every child will experience physical pain, emotional heartbreak, disappointment, and eventually death. These are not maybes. They are certainties. Children bring such joy, Alex's mother often says. They challenge you to become your best self. They help you see the world anew. Two perspectives. One philosophical, one emotional, both containing truths. Which resonates more deeply with you? The social conversation around parenthood is everywhere, isn't it? Friends posting pictures with their children on social media. Family members asking about your plans. Partners dreaming of creating a family together. Society has always honored the path of parenthood. After all, it ensures our collective future. But Schopenhauer would argue this social pressure serves the will to life, that blind force compelling reproduction without concern for the suffering it creates. You're here, engaging with these ideas, because you value thoughtful consideration out of life's biggest choices. You believe in making conscious decisions rather than simply following expected patterns without reflection. Schopenhauer's argument is stark. To have children is to sentence another consciousness to inevitable suffering. Each new life will experience hunger, thirst, physical pain, emotional heartbreak, disappointment, loss, and death. These are not possibilities, but certainties. Parents, in their pursuit of happiness or fulfillment through reproduction, knowingly or unknowingly subject a new being to these unavoidable pains. Can you feel the weight of this philosophy? Can you appreciate why Schopenhauer believed reproduction was fundamentally an act of selfishness rather than love? Few approach major life decisions with such brutal philosophical honesty. Now, the question hangs before you, not demanding an immediate answer, but inviting deep reflection. Will you approach life's biggest decisions with philosophical awareness? Will you consider the full spectrum of what it means to bring new consciousness into a world that guarantees suffering? Allow yourself to question what truly motivates our biggest life choices. Is it unconditional love for the future? Is it the desire to contribute something meaningful to the world? Is it the human instinct to create connection and legacy? Or is it, as Schopenhauer suggested, simply the blind will to life expressing itself through us, indifferent to the suffering it perpetuates? Schopenhauer would say it's our fundamental nature expressing itself, the will to life, compelling reproduction without concern for the suffering each new consciousness will inevitably experience. This doesn't guarantee happiness. In fact, it guarantees suffering. The clock continues. Time passes as we continue this reflection. Time remains for thoughtful consideration of how you want to approach life's biggest decisions. Consider the world we live in. Environmental challenges that need innovative solutions. Social structures being reimagined. Technology advancing at unprecedented rates. New understandings of human potential emerging every day. And throughout it all, the suffering that Schopenhauer identified as fundamental to existence continues. The central question remains: how will you approach life's most profound choices? Will you make these decisions with philosophical awareness of their full implications? Will you consider both the joys and the inevitable suffering that come with bringing new consciousness into the world? Schopenhauer would encourage us to face these questions directly. To acknowledge that life contains both pleasure and pain, though he believed pain was the positive, fundamental reality while pleasure was merely the temporary absence of pain. That the most meaningful approach isn't avoiding life's complexities, but engaging with them consciously and intentionally. Imagine a child being born today. The first years will hold wonder and discovery. But life will present its guaranteed sufferings too. The complexity of social relationships, the process of finding one's place in the world, the inevitable questions about meaning and purpose, the gradual understanding of both human potential and limitation, the certainty of physical pain, emotional heartbreak, and eventually death. Human nature is fascinating. It balances moments of challenge with experiences of profound beauty, the struggle of achievement, the joy of connection, the wonder of discovery. These aren't just distractions from suffering. They're the texture of meaningful, human experience. But Schopenhauer would remind us that beneath it all lies the fundamental reality of suffering that each new life is guaranteed to experience. Alex received news recently. His father was diagnosed with a health condition. It will require family, support, and care. Is this difficult? Yes. Is it also an opportunity for deepened connection, for demonstrating love through action? Also, yes. It's part of the human experience, the full spectrum that comes with our extraordinary capacity for relationship and meaning. But it is also, Schopenhauer would note, evidence of the suffering that comes inevitably with existence. The surface level. Narratives continue to present themselves. The curated images on social media. The advertisements showing idealized versions of life. The movies where complex questions receive simple answers. The social pressure to follow established patterns without questioning them. But you are listening to another voice now. The voice of philosophical awareness. The voice that questions the deeper meaning behind our biggest life choices. The voice that asks not just what we should do, but why, and with what consciousness. Time is passing. The reflection continues. Alex now walks alone on a quiet beach. The sun is setting. The waves break rhythmically on the sand. It's a moment of transcendent beauty. One of those moments that reminds us of life's extraordinary capacity for meaning. But these moments, Schopenhauer would argue, are temporary. Respites in a journey fundamentally characterized by suffering. And perhaps, in this moment, Alex feels a deep confidence in his approach to life's biggest questions. Perhaps he thinks, this is the path of conscious engagement with existence. This is what it means to live philosophically. Because ultimately, it's not about avoiding life's complexities. It's about engaging with them with full awareness. It's about making choices not from unconscious programming, but from philosophical understanding of their full implications. There is no universally right or wrong approach. There is only the approach that aligns with your deepest understanding of existence, with your most authentic values, with your truest conception of meaning. If, after deep reflection, you decide that bringing new life into the world is your path, despite Schopenhauer's warning that you are guaranteeing another consciousness will experience suffering, then let it be a conscious decision, not an accident, not a social expectation automatically fulfilled, but a deliberate choice made with full philosophical awareness of its implications. And if you decide that other forms of contribution better align with your understanding of meaning and purpose, then let that also be a conscious decision. A choice you make not from fear or unconscious programming, but from philosophical engagement with life's biggest questions. The moment of choice presents itself. Will you engage with life's complexities consciously or follow established patterns without reflection? Will you bring philosophical awareness to your biggest decisions or let unconscious programming guide your path? The choice is yours and yours alone. The philosophical approach is forming in your innermost being. Perhaps not completely. Perhaps questions remain. Perhaps the process will continue for days, months, years. But something fundamental has changed. You have glimpsed the possibility of bringing philosophical awareness to life's biggest choices. You have encountered Schopenhauer's stark warning that to create life is to guarantee suffering. Alex continues his walk on the beach. The sun finally disappears below the horizon. Darkness falls, but there is a different light now. the light of awareness, the light of conscious choice, the same light that now grows in you. It's time to bring philosophical awareness to our biggest life choices. It's time to question what has too often gone unquestioned. It's time to make conscious decisions about shaping the future, whether through parenthood or other meaningful contributions. To have children or not to have children, it may be the most philosophically significant decision many will face, and yet it's often made with less reflection than the purchase of a car. Schopenhauer would argue it's a decision of immense ethical importance, determining whether another consciousness will experience the suffering inherent to existence. Perhaps, true engagement with life isn't following unconscious programming but bringing philosophical awareness to our biggest choices. Perhaps the most meaningful contribution we can make is to approach life's profound questions with conscious deliberation rather than unconscious repetition of established patterns. The moon rises on the horizon as Alex walks back home. A thoughtful home. A home where decisions are made with philosophical awareness rather than unconscious programming. A home where life's biggest questions receive the deliberation they deserve. There is a peace there. A peace that comes not from avoiding life's complexities but from engaging with them consciously, from bringing philosophical awareness to each significant choice. And perhaps this peace can also be yours if you choose the path of conscious decision-making. The path of philosophical awareness. The path of engagement with life's deepest questions. The choice is yours, and yours alone. But now you know. Now you have glimpsed the possibility of bringing consciousness to choices often made unconsciously. Now you have heard the invitation to philosophical living. Now you have encountered Schopenhauer's dark truth, that to create life is to guarantee suffering. And that changes everything, doesn't it? But let's go deeper into the philosophical foundations of conscious decision-making. Schopenhauer's central concept, the will to life, is not merely desire as we commonly understand it. It is the fundamental metaphysical reality, the driving force behind all human striving. It manifests itself in conscious beings as desire, in all living things as the impulse toward life, in matter as movement itself. And it operates most often below the level of consciousness, guiding our choices without our awareness, compelling us to perpetuate suffering by creating new life. When you contemplate making one of life's biggest decisions, you are standing at a crossroads where personal choice meets universal human experience. You are bringing consciousness to decisions often made without reflection. You are confronting Schopenhauer's dark truth, that existence guarantees suffering, and to create new life is to guarantee that suffering for another. Consider the lives around you. How many approach their biggest life choices with philosophical awareness? How many question the deeper meaning behind their most significant decisions? How many confront the reality that creating new life means creating new suffering? Few, perhaps, and yet the possibility exists for each of us. Schopenhauer identified several sources of temporary relief from suffering: aesthetic contemplation, ethical action, and ascetic practices, art, morality, and self-denial. These represent opportunities to briefly transcend the suffering that he believed characterized existence. Alex found another approach: the deliberate application of philosophical awareness to life's biggest questions. The conscious examination of choices often made without reflection. A yes to awareness that transforms how we engage with existence itself. It's not an easy path. Culture has programmed us with powerful patterns, the tendency to follow established trajectories, the social pressure to reproduce, the fear of making unconventional choices that makes us seek safety in familiar patterns. These forces exert powerful influence. They serve what Schopenhauer called the will to life, that blind force compelling reproduction without concern for the suffering it creates. But you possess something that can transform them. Consciousness. Awareness. The capacity to step back and recognize these patterns operating. The ability to bring philosophical reflection to decisions often made without it. The courage to confront Schopenhauer's dark truth, that life guarantees suffering. As you contemplate your approach to life's biggest questions, consider that you are not merely making choices for yourself. You are deciding whether to bring new consciousness into existence. Consciousness that will inevitably experience suffering. Alex grasped this approach. He saw that by bringing philosophical awareness to life's biggest questions, he was transforming how he engaged with existence itself. Not just accepting conventional patterns, but consciously examining their deeper implications. Not just following established trajectories, but questioning their philosophical foundations. Not just reproducing because that's what people do, but confronting the reality that to create life is to guarantee suffering. This is the heart of philosophical living, bringing awareness to choices often made unconsciously, not from rejection of life, but from profound engagement with its deepest questions. Conventional thinking, of course, resists this approach. It clothes itself in unexamined assumptions. It speaks through cultural narratives about the normal progression of life, the expected timelines for major decisions, the predetermined patterns we're meant to follow. It whispers that this is just what people do, without acknowledging the suffering each new life is guaranteed to experience. But, there's another possibility. You've glimpsed the opportunity to bring philosophical awareness to decisions often made unconsciously. You've recognized the potential for transforming how you engage with life's biggest questions. You've encountered Schopenhauer's dark truth that to create life is to guarantee suffering. When Alex looks at the night sky now, he feels a strange liberation. He has broken from unconscious patterns. He has refused to be controlled by unexamined assumptions about life's most significant choices. His decisions come not from cultural programming, but from the deepest understanding of what it means to live with philosophical awareness. From confronting the reality that existence guarantees suffering, and creating new life means creating new suffering. As you contemplate your own approach to life's biggest questions, remember that the loudest voices may not be the most philosophically aware. The most common path may not be the most consciously chosen. The cultural scripts we inherit may serve unconscious patterns rather than philosophical engagement with existence. They may perpetuate what Schopenhauer saw as an endless cycle of suffering. If awareness is central to meaningful existence, and surely it is, then how can we justify making our biggest life choices without it? The unexamined choice is harder to align with our deeper values. The unconscious decision more difficult to integrate into a meaningfully coherent life. The failure to confront Schopenhauer's dark truth more difficult to reconcile with ethical living. As the night deepens, Alex feels a sense of alignment with existence that he has never experienced before. Not because he has followed established patterns, but because he has brought consciousness to choices often made without it. He has recognized the opportunity for philosophical awareness and embraced it fully. He has confronted Schopenhauer's dark truth about existence and suffering. There is a clarity in this realization, a peace that comes from philosophical coherence, a sense of having confronted the most difficult questions and engaged with them consciously, despite the immense pressure to follow conventional patterns without examination. As dawn approaches, Alex feels a strange sense of gratitude, not just for life itself, that extraordinary opportunity for meaning and purpose, but for the consciousness that allows him to engage with it philosophically, for the courage to question conventional patterns, for the clarity to make his most significant choices from a place of awareness rather than unconscious programming, for the strength to confront Schopenhauer's dark truth that to create life is to guarantee suffering. You too can find this gratitude, this clarity, this courage. You too can look beyond established patterns and confront life's biggest questions with open eyes and philosophical awareness. You too can face Schopenhauer's dark truth and make your choices with full consciousness of their implications. Conventional thinking speaks in many voices. It uses the language of normality, of expectation, of established trajectories. It disguises itself as wisdom, as common sense, as the way things are done. But listen carefully for the quieter voice, the voice of philosophical awareness, the voice that questions the unexamined, the voice that brings consciousness to choices often made without reflection, the voice that acknowledges what Schopenhauer saw clearly, that existence guarantees suffering. That voice is speaking to you now. It is inviting you to consider your biggest life choices with new awareness, to bring philosophical reflection to decisions often made unconsciously, to question the assumptions that underlie conventional approaches to life's most significant questions, to confront the reality that creating new life means creating new suffering. And perhaps, like Alex, you will find that the most meaningful approach, the most philosophically aware choice, the most conscious decision is simply to question what others accept without examination, to bring awareness to what others approach unconsciously, to engage philosophically with what others experience without reflection, to face what Schopenhauer identified as the dark truth about existence, that life guarantees suffering, and to create life is to guarantee suffering for another. The choice is yours, and yours alone. But know that whichever path you choose, you will walk it with a deeper understanding than before. You have glimpsed the possibility of bringing consciousness to choices often made without reflection. You have heard the invitation to philosophical living. You have contemplated the opportunity that is conscious decision-making. You have encountered Schopenhauer's dark truth about existence and suffering. Conventional thinking is powerful, but consciousness, aware, philosophically informed, intentionally cultivated consciousness is more powerful still. Remember that as you make your choices. Remember that as you navigate the complex landscape of life's biggest decisions. Remember that as you decide whether to perpetuate what Schopenhauer saw as an endless cycle of suffering, or to bring awareness to choices often made without reflection. The opportunity is yours. The philosophical awareness is yours. The conscious engagement with existence is yours. The responsibility to confront Schopenhauer's dark truth is yours. And that changes everything, doesn't it?